Hi friends, I'm excited to share a new layout with you today for the Shimmerz Paints design team. I am using the June Color Kitz again this time for this layout, and I absolutely love the colors. I created a mermaid layout for my last layout with this June Color Kitz, and I have added, now I'm doing a companion page for that layout. So I am starting with some mixed media white cardstock. And then the spray that I have added there is Jenny B Blue Vibes. And then I added on Walking on a Tight Heliotrope Spritz. So those are the two colors that I'm adding here. This is not going to be my background. I am just creating this as part of the embellishments that I will be adding for the layout. So the most important thing here that I am doing is I am drying in between layers. So I did not really want the Jenny B Blue and that Walking on a Tight Heliotrope to mix. So I wanted those colors. I kind of wanted to have a turquoise area and then a purple area to start. And so I dried each layer with my mixed media heat gun, and then I will start adding on colors here while it's wet. So this next color that I'm adding is one of my new favorite colors. It is Peacock's Plume Shimmerz, and that is a darker turquoise, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So I love that you can see here, I left a little bit of the turquoise wet while I was adding this, and I love that you can see it move that color around. So everywhere that I've dropped a drop where it was wet, you can kind of see that it sort of resists, or the color that was already there resists against it, so it kind of moves out in circles. And I love that. I love when you're mixing mediums that they react to each other. And so that kind of gives you a more layered look, and it definitely gives you like some visual dimension and some detailing there that you can't, it's hard to create just on your own. Like it would be hard for me to create that look without it happening organically. So now I am adding on some Lilac Blossom Shimmers. That's that lighter purple. And the Shimmerz formula comes wet and super shimmery and shiny. And then the Vibes and the Spritz are both already in a bottle. So those are sprays and they're wet mediums. So sometimes I use those as a spray. Like on this layout, I used both of those colors as a spray first. And then I am also using them to splatter and with a paintbrush. So sometimes I go back and add the color with a paintbrush, and that helps me kind of control the area where I'm adding the color. So here, what I am adding now is the new color for this month, and that is the Stay Golden Shimmers, and it is over the top. If you did not see my first layout using the June Color Kitz, you need to go back and watch it. So this color is absolutely gorgeous. It's shimmers, just like the other shimmers, but it has so much sparkle and shine and like glitter in it that it is absolutely fantastic. So my goal there was just to add colors on in layers, and I'm not done yet. I will be adding more to that piece of paper. But while I'm letting it dry a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and get some patterned papers ready. So I am just taking circle punches. I have a 2 1/4 inch. And then I think the other one is a 1 3/4 inch circle punch. So I just went and punched out 3 of the larger circles, 3 of the smaller circles. And then I am going to fussy cut out some mermaid tails here. And then I am also going to fussy cut some of those palm trees. So those will all be elements that I'm going to be using on my layout as embellishments and ephemera. So now I'm going to start preparing the background of my layout. So again, this is still mixed media white cardstock, and I am using the same colors that I started with, but I'm adding them in a different way so they look different. So this piece, this is sort of like using the packaging technique, except that I'm not using like a cellophane or like a super slippery, shiny plastic. I am using a foam packaging that has a pattern in it. So if you have been following my previous channel where I originally posted videos, and then you've been following my creative process as I have gone along, you know that this piece of packaging is from years ago, several years ago now, when my son got a PlayStation, he the PlayStation was wrapped in this foam packaging, and it has a grid pattern on it, and it's sort of a subtle grid pattern. And so when I spray it and then I use that to add the color to the background, it leaves the pattern in the paper. And I absolutely love that. So on this layout, you're not going to see a whole lot of it because I do end up covering up quite a bit of it with the paper that I have created, and then these patterned papers that I'm adding, but you will see some of it poking through, and you do see that kind of grid or checkered pattern back there, and it's fantastic. So love that. And then here what I'm doing is I'm just kind of playing around with what I think my layout is going to entail. But first I'm going to go, I sat this off to dry for a little while, and now I am going back and adding the only color that is not in the June Color Kitz, and that is Flashy Flamingo Color Splash. So that is an acrylic spray from Shimmerz Paints, and it is pink. It is a very bright, vivid, beautiful, shimmery, almost like a fuchsia pink. So the photo that I'm going to be scrapbooking is of my sweet daughter and her little best friend, and it's still in her mermaid costume because, again, remember, this is a companion page for the other mermaid layout that I made. So it's my daughter's first grade character parade, and she was a mermaid from one of her favorite little mermaid books. And so her wig, just like the character in the book, is bright pink, and so I needed to add a little bit of pink to the layout. So that was the purpose of that. And then off camera, I went and cut a bunch of circles out. So I used my Cricut to cut through the paper that I created. So that whole first paper that I made with all of the colors and the layers and the splatters and all the different things, I then put through my Cricut, and I cut all different sizes of circles, 3.5 on down. And I just filled up as many, that page with as many circles as I could cut over on the side where I added all the colors. So I am now going to be using those circles as part of the layers for my background here for my page. So you can kind of see that as I have added those, because I did sections that were predominantly purple and then other sections that were predominantly turquoise, I get different looks when I cut those circles out, and you can kind of see them sitting over there to the left of the layout in a stack, and then also I've added a few up on the layout. So my process for creating this layout, in my mind, I can see where it's going, but here it's kind of hard to tell. So I started mainly at the top of the layout, and I'm working my way down. So I know where I want my photo to go, and I know that I want lots of varied looks in the background. Like, I want to use all those different layers that I'm adding and kind of vary the way that they're looking. So the striped patterned paper I have going different directions. So like I have some that are going horizontal, some that are going vertical, and then some that are diagonal. So I kind of varied the way that those look. And then I was also very careful to vary the colors. So for example, the palm trees. The palm trees that I cut out, they're white, but they are backed on purple. And so I tried to add some turquoise circles behind those so that you get that depth of color and there's a contrast there. If I had put those purple palm trees on top of purple patterned paper and purple, like the purple section that I created, you're not going to see them very well. And so I wanted to add some contrast behind them as I am building the page. So, and then I didn't want any pattern papers that were the same color to be next to each. So like the purple stripes and the turquoise stripes, I tried to, layer those where they were not the same color touching each other. And then all of the circles that I created look different. So it's easy to kind of turn them or put them in a different place on the layout to get a different look because they're handmade. And, I created that each circle looks a little bit different. So now what I am doing is at the very beginning of the layout, I forgot to mention it, I used the pattern papers in the Color Kitz with my metal dies, and I did it off camera. I cut out a bunch of leaves and I cut out some hibiscus flowers. So all out of the patterned paper in the Color Kitz. So I didn't use any additional products or anything. It's all out of the Color Kitz. And the hibiscus metal die is from the Hip Kit Club, and it has all the different layers of the hibiscus flower. So here I am adding all those different layers, but the purple patterned paper that I cut the hibiscus flower out of had little white flowers on it, you can see. So what I am doing to try to make those a little less distracting, because like a flower doesn't have another patterned flower in it, I went with the lilac blossom shimmers, and I just painted in the middle of that flower, and that kind of helped cover up a little bit of those little white flowers that are in the patterned paper and made them less distracting. And then it also gave, you know, it looked like my flower is now layered and kind of has a depth of color. And then I also am adding tangled thread. I had pink tangled thread that I had originally added there, but it was a little bit, for whatever reason, it was distracting me. Like it wasn't working for me. So I went and took it out, and now I am adding light purple tangled thread over there. And so I just make little circles of thread that you would sew with, and I kind of tangle them up and tuck them behind things so that it kind of pokes out and adds a layer of color and texture. And then I also tucked in a title at the top that says Mermaid Vibes, and then those little mermaid tails that I cut, I am also tucking those in and around the title up there. So now you can see I have added the purple hibiscus flower on the other side of the photo, and I am adding that layer of purple on that as well to kind of blend out those white flowers that were in that patterned paper. And then I did, as I'm adding the circles, some of them have craft foam behind them, and then some of them don't. So I glued some straight to the background, and then the ones that I'm layering on top of those, I tried to add a little bit of craft foam to give some dimension. I'm not double layering craft foam on this layout. I'm still, if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm really trying to make a good effort to not have my layouts be too thick, so that I can get more in a scrapbook, a binder. So I am making sure that I only have up to one layer of craft foam, but I do have different thicknesses. So that kind of helps me give a variation of color. And then of course, all of those leaves and flowers that I cut out with the metal dies, I am curling up the petals and kind of folding in the leaves so that they have some great texture as I go. And there are lots of little details that I add. So for right there, I just added the word enjoy. That was on a circle in the ephemera set, in the June Color Kitz from Shimmerz. And I went ahead and kind of fussy cut around it, and then added it on top of one of the little binder journals or binder labels that were in the ephemera set. And then here what I'm doing is I am using the sequin set from the bonus bundle. There are beautiful things in that little sequin set, so I am adding those in little clusters. I'd added sequins to the middle of each flower that I added, and then I am just trying to vary the color and texture of my little tiny embellishments and little tiny details to build little clusters around the layout. There were some gold balls. If you get the bonus bundle, there are some little gold balls. They're little foam gold balls. They are kind of hard to glue on if you leave them in a ball shape. But what I did is I just used like one finger to kind of smash them down, which flattened them out enough to give me a surface to glue down. And they're still round and beautiful. So that worked really well. And then I added some half pearls and some crystals from my stash. And of course I'm going back and adding pops of color in the coordinating colors with the patterned papers and my photo. And that is the final layout. So I love these close-ups because you can see all of the details of that paper that I created down there at the bottom. Oh my goodness, I love all those colors and the layers. And that was so easy. I did distress the edge of every circle. I forgot to mention that. So I did distress the edges of each circle before I glued them down. And then I had a lot of fun going back and adding all the little details. If you have any questions, be sure to pop them down in the comment section. If you place an order with Shimmerz Paints, put my name, Sarah Millerhouse, in the comment section and you will get a free paint. I thank you for watching the process, and I will see you next time. Bye.